Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a special presentation for the first half of the warm-ups for Cycle 4. Before we begin, please let me encourage you to open up to the template for Google Docs on Google Classroom for the question of the day and the corresponding answers. Please also make sure that you format your questions and answers in a different color to make it easier for me when I grade. Let's go ahead and discuss what these lessons were about as we delve deeper into the Constitution. Tuesday and Wednesday. Keep in mind this was the short week because of Columbus Day for October 13th and October 14th. Why exactly is the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights fundamentally important to our democracy? Explain all reasons that apply. So for this question, we're going to think about some of the things that we covered in the lesson in terms of what free speech actually really means. Starting with the basic definition, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights basically states that you have the freedom of expression in this country, and that you are protected to express yourself freely in this way. But there are different domains of what freedom of expression covers, so we're going to cover some of those things right now. Freedom of speech basically means that you can say whatever you want in a free and open country. Keep in mind that, of course, this is something that has contours and confines as well, which we'll go over in the lesson. But generally speaking, that's the rule. Additionally, you have freedom of religion, which means you can worship whatever faith you want openly. You have freedom of the press, which means that the press or media can print or air whatever they believe just in our society. You can also even write openly to media and press in this way too. You also have freedom of assembly and to petition, which means that people can meet to show support or disdain over something openly, and they can also engage in a governmental process of petitioning the government. When you petition the government, you essentially address them and convey your grievances or support in this way too. All in all, one of the biggest problems here with the First Amendment is that, like I said before, the contours and limits of what you can and cannot do, and also what you can actually say and not say, are not always well defined. As you'll discover later on in the lesson, that we're going to go over special types of scenarios which show that the First Amendment sometimes has an area shade of gray instead of just modes of black and white. Then, of course, we have the question of the day from Thursday and Friday. Why is the Second Amendment controversial in the Bill of Rights? What opportunities and implications are conveyed in this right? So for those of you guys who remember, the Second Amendment basically pertains to the right of every citizen in the United States to bear arms and to keep a well-regulated militia. That's pretty much the direct wordage from the Constitution itself. However, upon closer examination, what does this mean? Well, there are a few positives to the Second Amendment. For example, people deserve to protect themselves and their family members and their loved ones. People should feel safeguarded from tyrannical takeover. Keep in mind, our founding fathers were very much so fearful of a growing, expansive government that would take away their firearms and encroach on their liberties. Additionally, another positive here is that many people do in fact casually shoot guns on ranges, they hunt, they partake in gun shows, and of course, so much more. It's a big part of our American culture, even if you don't, of course, have any interaction with guns. They do have a big mainstay in the lives of many other people. To be fair, some negatives here of gun ownership in the Second Amendment is that access to guns yields to higher shootings and other vice-filled industries. So for example, what I mean by that is that our country hasn't necessarily done a great job of defining who should be able to get guns and use guns, and of course the way that we deal with certain situational contexts like mass shootings. Another big glaring negative here is that, the Second Amendment becomes a really political issue where interest groups and politicians never really solve any problems related to guns, whether it be gun violence or mass shootings or anything like that. There's many people who take either side of this debate, is the issue the gun, or is the issue the societal and cultural pressures that come from owning the gun, or a greater societal norm. So those are some things for you guys to consider moving forward here as we delve deeper into the Constitution to discover more about what rights we have vested in the rest of the Bill of Rights and the other amendments. Thank you very much for tuning in, and remember to complete this part of the warm-up template accordingly.